On a November night in 2009, a group of friends set out for an adventure in Utah's Nutty Putty Cave. But what they didn't know was that their fun expedition would turn into a desperate fight for survival. So, what caused this routine caving trip to go so terribly wrong? How did an experienced caver end up trapped for 28 hours, 100 feet below the surface? And what can we learn from this tragic event to prevent future underground disasters? This is Nutty Putty Cave. Discovered in 1960 by Dale Green and his friends, this hydrothermal cave quickly became a hotspot for amateur and professional cavers alike. Located west of Utah Lake, the cave got its quirky name for the putty-like texture of the soft brown clay found in many of its passages. Green originally thought of calling it Silly Putty, but decided Nutty Putty had a better ring to it. But don't let the name fool you. Nutty Putty was no walk in the park. With 1,400 feet of twisting chutes and tunnels, the cave was a labyrinth of narrow passageways and tight squeezes. Parts of the cave had ominous names, like the Birth Canal, the Scout Eater, and the Maze. Clear warnings of the challenges that lay within. What made Nutty Putty particularly treacherous was its geology. The cave was formed by superheated water carving through limestone, resulting in a complex structure rich in minerals. The walls were composed of silicon dioxide, the same stuff found in sand, giving them that distinctive putty-like feel. But this unique composition also made the cave incredibly slippery, adding an extra layer of danger to every twist and turn. For years, the cave attracted thrill seekers, Boy Scout troops, and college students. But as its popularity grew, so did the risks. By 2006, it was estimated that over 5,000 visitors were entering the cave each year, many of them late at night and without proper safety precautions. The cave's popularity came at a cost. The constant traffic of explorers had smoothed the rock surfaces inside, making them even more slippery and dangerous. Concerns grew about the safety of one of the cave's most prominent features, a 45-degree sloping room ominously called the Big Slide. Experts feared it was only a matter of time before a fatal accident occurred. These concerns led to action. On May 24, 2006, a gate was installed at the cave entrance, and Nutty Putty was temporarily closed to the public. It wasn't until early 2009 that proper management was established, and on May 18, 2009, the cave was reopened to the public under these new guidelines. Little did anyone know that just 6 months after this reopening, Nutty Putty Cave would become the site of a tragedy that would seal its fate forever. The Caver. This is John Edward Jones, our protagonist. At 26 years old, John was no beginner when it came to caving. He'd grown up exploring Utah's underground world with his father and younger brother Josh. But life had taken John in a different direction. He was now studying to become a pediatric cardiologist, had recently become a father himself, and his wife was pregnant with their second child. He came from a big, loving family, one of 7 siblings with 16 nieces and nephews. Little did anyone know that this Thanksgiving week in 2009 would be the last time they'd see John's warm smile. The fateful night. It was 8 p.m. on November 24, 2009, when John and Josh arrived at Nutty Putty Cave. They weren't alone. 9 friends and acquaintances had joined them for what was supposed to be a fun night of caving. For the first hour, everything went smoothly. The group explored the largest room in the cave, named the Big Slide. But John, always up for a challenge, had heard about a tricky passage called the Birth Canal. He decided to take it on, with Josh and 2 friends following close behind. As John wriggled forward into the narrow passage, something felt off. The tunnel kept getting tighter, with no sign of opening into a larger room. But John pressed on, confident in his abilities. The same confidence would later prove to be a fatal mistake. The trap. 50 feet into the passage, everything went wrong. Whether John had accidentally turned into a dead-end passage called Ed's Push or missed the birth canal entirely, we'll never know for sure. What we do know is that John found himself wedged into a crevice that measured just 10 by 18 inches, about the size of a front-loading washing machine. To make matters worse, John was almost upside down, with one arm pinned beneath him and the other forced backward. His feet were free, but gravity was working against him, pushing him further into the crevice with every breath. Josh, following behind, was the first to realize the disastrous situation. He tried to pull John out, but could only move him a few inches before John slipped back into the tight spot. After a quick prayer together, Josh knew he had to get help, and fast. The rescue begins. As Josh raced to the surface to call for help, John was left alone in the darkness, trapped more than 100 feet below ground. It was now a race against time. The first rescuer to reach John was Susan, a local volunteer who dropped everything when she got the call around midnight. Small and agile, Susan quickly made her way to John. "Hi, John. My name is Susie. How's it going?" she called out. "Hi, Susie. Thanks for coming," John replied. "I really want to get out." Over the next few hours, dozens of rescuers arrived at the scene. They brainstormed plan after plan, from lubing the cave walls to drilling away chunks of rock. But the hard material and John's awkward position made progress painfully slow. The long wait. As the hours ticked by, John's situation grew more desperate. Being upside down for so long was taking its toll. He was having trouble breathing, and his heart was working overtime to pump blood out of his brain against gravity. In a touching moment, rescuers managed to lower a two-way radio to John so he could speak with his pregnant wife, who was waiting anxiously at the cave entrance. Their conversation, filled with both fear and comfort, was a reminder of what was at stake. But hope was not lost. After 19 grueling hours, the rescue team had finally set up a complex pulley system. Working in tandem, 8 men began to slowly pull John up. A glimmer of hope. With each pull, John inched closer to freedom. Despite the pain, a smile crossed his dirty, tired face when he finally made eye contact with his rescuer. "How are you?" the rescuer asked. "It sucks. I'm upside down. I can't believe I'm upside down. My legs are killing me." It seemed like the ordeal might finally be coming to an end. John was almost out. Just one more pull. Tragedy strikes. Suddenly, disaster struck. As the team pulled for the 4th time, there was a sickening crack. The stone arch where the rope was anchored shattered, and a key bolt broke free. In an instant, John slid back down the crevice, this time even deeper than before. The closest rescuer was knocked unconscious by flying debris. As it settled, the horrible truth became clear. John was now unreachable. Another rescuer took over, desperately trying to make contact with John, but there was no response. John's breathing had become shallow and infrequent. Despite their best efforts, it was too late. At midnight on November 25th, after 28 hours of tireless rescue attempts, John Edward Jones was pronounced dead. He was just 26 years old. The aftermath. The news of John's death sent shockwaves through the caving community and beyond. A total of 137 rescuers had worked tirelessly to save him, only to leave the cave with heavy hearts and empty hands. In the days that followed, authorities made the difficult decision to leave John's body where it was. Retrieving it was deemed too dangerous. Nutty Putty Cave would become John's final resting place. A week later, officials permanently closed the cave to the public. The entrance was sealed and a plaque was placed there in John's memory. Lessons learned. The Nutty Putty Cave tragedy serves as a reminder of the dangers of caving, even for experienced explorers. It highlighted the need for stricter safety measures and better regulation of popular caving sites. But perhaps the most important lesson is one of human spirit. In those dark hours, we saw the incredible lengths people will go to in order to save a life. We saw a community come together, strangers risking their own safety in a desperate attempt to rescue someone they'd never met. John Edward Jones may have lost his life that day, but his story lives on. It reminds us of the preciousness of life, the importance of safety, and the power of human compassion in the face of tragedy. Let's honor his memory by approaching our own adventures with respect and a commitment to safety, because in the end, the greatest adventure is coming home to tell the tale. Until next time, stay safe and keep exploring.